I'm Chris Bell, physiotherapist for the Western Bulldogs. I'm here today on behalf of the Victorian Amateur Football Association and LifeCare. We're going to be running through some taping techniques and some injury prevention tips. Hope you enjoy. Okay, welcome back to another weekend, a week of taping. What we're going to do today is we're going to do anterior shoulder taping. Now this commonly happens to an athlete that has a subluxation or a dislocation episode, or who's weak in this position up here. So external rotation and abduction. For most athletes, this is a position of high risk, and it's also the position of apprehension with apprehensive. Now we know with the taping technique, it doesn't get a lot of proprioceptive quality. It has some input proprioception wise, but what the taping is really designed to do is to limit range of movement and to try and restrict that area where he's in high risk. So first of all, we start with fix-and-mold taping, literally to protect the skin. It doesn't do anything else but protect the skin. But since the glue on the back of some of the tapings is quite adhesive, in this position we need to make sure this is on. So we basically make sure the athlete's shaved down. We start above the nipple line and basically wrap straight over the back of the shoulder like so. Then with our rigid tape, once again the wide rigid tape, we form two anchors to sit across the top of the shoulder, like so. Now this forms a framework on where we're now going to base the rest of our taping. Now if you flex your bicep for me, where the area here is on the bottom part of the deltoid, that's where we wrap our tape around. Now the athlete has to be flexed through the bicep whilst you're doing this anchor, because otherwise it'll be too tight once you end up coming back to the position. Now to put them in the position that we want to tape, we basically make sure the hand's on the hip, which puts them in an internal rotation position, which then up here limits that external rotation. You get them to sit back nicely in the shoulder. Now what we do is we start the rigid tape coming from the front part of the shoulder and making sure it's just sitting above the crease of the shoulder. Comes across and then it should finish on the back inside part of that arm. So it's literally coming around into a spiral. Once again, you cross the tape over by half and repeat that stage. So coming up, coming around, and then coming down. Once again, I typically use 3 to 4 strips on the way up, and then I reinforce the bottom strip because that's the one that's put under the most tension. Now to help centralise the humeral head, because most people with this shoulder condition sit forward in the humeral head, you start one on the front part of the bicep, literally wrapping back up, apply a little bit of pressure as you come back up, and just coming to the back part of the shoulder. 2 of those typically do the job. And this is the foundation of our rigid taping. So these are the strips with all the pressure on them. Then we lock off the anchors once again. So one coming across the top, reinforcing that with the second one. And then another one around the bicep. Once again, get the athlete to flex their bicep to make sure it's not too tensioned. Locked off. Now what we use some of the thicker stretch tape. Now this stretch tape allows a little bit more movement, so it allows a little bit more mobility, but it also helps to tie it all together. We started on the bottom part of the rigid tape. As we said, it allows a little bit more movement, so you can be a little bit more aggressive with how low you go. It comes around, comes under the arm, does a circle around the arm, and then we basically follow the rigid strips we had before, follow it up and around, and finish on the back part of the shoulder. As you can see. Then we can lock off with the rigid tape again. Like so. And then to make sure it all stays together, we have 2 bits of fix-and-mold again. And this is to try and hold it onto the skin to help the adhesion. So we literally just finish above the nipple line, coming across like so. And then another one goes over the end of the tape at the back part of the shoulder. And the reason we do this taping is to prevent that movement up high. And as you can see, the tape's tensioned up, and so it restricts him getting up to the vulnerable position, but it also allows him to mark a football if he needs to. So that's essentially an anterior dislocation tape.